You are not lazy. You are not undisciplined, and you are not broken. You have been doing everything they told you to do. Eat less, work out harder, fast longer, push through. But your body is still stuck, your energy is low, and your mind feels heavy. Deep down, you're wondering if the problem is you. It's not. The problem is the plan. You were handed a plan that was never designed for you. Most of what we've been taught about fitness and nutrition was created for and tested on men. Research, routines, meal plans, all built on the male blueprint, then handed to women with entirely different biology and told, just do this. But women's bodies operate on a completely different rhythm. Hormones fluctuate through a monthly cycle, not a 24-hour one. Stress hits differently. Muscles respond differently. Metabolism behaves differently. And when a woman tries to follow a system never made for her, it doesn't just fail, it backfires. Skipping breakfast and training fasted doesn't trigger fat loss. It triggers a stress response that tells your body to store more fat. Doing long cardio sessions doesn't make you lean. It raises cortisol and breaks down muscle. Eating less doesn't make you disciplined. It tells your body it's unsafe and slows your metabolism. It's not a willpower issue. It's a mismatch between the system and the body trying to survive it. But what if the system could change? What if you didn't have to punish your body to get results? What if you could rebuild your energy, your strength, and your confidence by working with your biology instead of fighting it? That's what real empowerment looks like, not a slogan, not a six-pack, but deep understanding. When you give your body the nutrients it needs, when you build strength through resistance training instead of overtraining with cardio, when you prioritize sleep, connection, and recovery, everything changes. You stop obsessing over the scale, you stop fearing food, you stop chasing someone else's version of health and start owning your own. You start to feel powerful in the gym, in your clothes, and in your life. And that power isn't loud or flashy. It's steady, it's quiet, it's yours. This is your body reset, not because your body failed, but because the plan failed you. Now you get to learn how to fuel it, train it, and trust it again. This isn't about shrinking yourself. It's about showing up fully. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to remember who you were before the world taught you to distrust your own instincts. You are not broken. You were simply following a blueprint that was never yours, but now you get to write a new one. And this time, it will be built for you with strength, with wisdom, and with freedom. Somewhere along the way, women were sold a dangerous idea that less equals more. Eat less, weigh less, be less visible, take up less space. And we believed it because it was wrapped in discipline and labeled as health. We believed that skipping meals showed control, that feeling lightheaded after a workout meant it was working, that hunger was a sign we were doing something right. We called it willpower, but it was really quiet depletion, a slow erosion of energy, of hormones, of confidence, and all the while the results we were promised never came. The fat stayed, the fatigue got worse, the scale didn't move, or if it did, it never stayed there long. And in the background, we blamed ourselves. We didn't realize that we were fighting biology with blind advice. Your body was never built to run on empty, especially not a woman's body. Every system in you is designed for rhythm, for nourishment, for stability. Your hormones are not random. They are messengers, constantly reading your environment and asking, am I safe? And every time you skip a meal, starve through the day, or force your body to push through without fuel, your body answers number. And when your body doesn't feel safe, it doesn't burn fat, it stores it. It doesn't grow lean muscle, it breaks it down. It doesn't focus, it fogs. And eventually, it doesn't trust you, it fights you. Because in the language of physiology, restriction is threat. Hunger is a signal, not of success, of imbalance. And when we ignore that signal long enough, the body does what it's designed to do. It protects itself from us. This is why so many women feel betrayed by their own bodies. They're not lazy, they're overworked, not weak, just undernourished, not broken, simply misled. We've been taught to measure progress by what we subtract calories, weight, inches, but the real transformation begins when we learn to measure what we add: strength, energy, resilience, confidence. And none of those things grow in a body that's constantly being starved. That's the irony. We chase wellness through sacrifice. We try to get healthier by giving less, but your body needs more protein, more recovery, more breath, more presence. Especially as you age, the old rules not only stop working, they begin to harm. After 35, women begin to lose muscle mass rapidly. And muscle isn't just about aesthetics or performance. It is your metabolism. It is your immune system. It is your bone strength, your hormonal stability, your mental clarity. Every year you neglect it, you lose it. And every year you lose it, your energy drops. Your cravings increase. Your sleep worsens. And the gap between what you want and what you feel grows wider. But there's good news. Muscle can be rebuilt. Hormones can be rebalanced. Energy can return, but not through less, only through enough. Through strategic training, through smart fueling, through consistency. That starts with the first hour of your day. What you do in that window doesn't just shape your energy, it shapes your chemistry. A high-protein meal first thing in the morning sends your body a signal of abundance. It switches on muscle synthesis, stabilizes blood sugar, and tells your nervous system you're safe. You can build, you can show up. Pair that with resistance training, lifting heavy things with proper form, even if just your body weight at first, and you begin to reprogram the way your body uses energy. You're no longer just burning calories. You're building capacity. And capacity is what keeps you strong through stress, through aging, through life. It's time to let go of the lie that less food equals more results, that the smaller you are, the better you are, that shrinking is the same as succeeding. Because the women I admire most aren't the ones who look the lightest, they are the ones who carry the most presence, the ones who walk into a room with clarity and calm, the ones whose energy doesn't collapse by 3 p.m., the ones whose bodies are not projects to be fixed, but tools to be trusted. And trust doesn't come from punishment. It comes from nourishment, from rhythm, from respect. You don't need another quick fix. You need a full reset. Not the kind that starts with a detox tea or a new app, but the kind that begins with the decision to never starve yourself again in the name of progress. The kind that sees strength as a baseline, not a bonus. The kind that honors your biology, not resents it. This isn't about giving in, it's about leveling up. Fueling your body the way it was designed to thrive. Training it with intention, not intensity for the sake of it. Sleeping like your healing depends on it, because it does. Speaking to yourself like your nervous system is listening, because it is. The shift is simple. Stop chasing less. Start building enough. Enough food to fuel your brain. Enough strength to carry your life. Enough care to remind your body it's not the enemy, it's the ally. You don't need to be perfect, you need to be consistent. And you don't need to keep running in circles when you can finally move forward with clarity. The lie of less ends here. And the science of enough begins now. Strength is not something you earn by chasing fatigue. It is something you build through intention. The old way of training told women that the more they sweat, the more they succeed. That if the workout left you crawling out of the gym or gasping for air, then you were doing it right. But that mindset has cost us something. It has taught generations of women to equate exhaustion with discipline, to mistake depletion for progress, to believe that being drained is a sign of being dedicated. What if it was the opposite? What if true discipline is measured by how well you recover, by how consistently you show up, by how much energy you still have at the end of the day, not just in the first hour of it? Your nervous system is not designed to live in constant survival mode. And yet that is exactly where so many women operate when they train with the wrong goals in mind. They push themselves into overtraining. They skip meals thinking it will boost fat loss. They chase cardio because that is what they were told burns the most calories. And they wonder why their bodies stop responding, why the fat clings tighter, why the sleep gets lighter, why the brain feels foggy. It is not failure. It is biology trying to keep you alive. If your training is built on stress and not on strength, you are teaching your body to shut down, not to rise up. And the longer you do that, the harder it becomes to access the energy and clarity you are actually chasing. The truth is, your body needs to feel safe in order to change. It needs fuel in order to build muscle. It needs resistance in order to grow. And it needs recovery in order to adapt. which means the real transformation begins not in the moment you push through pain, but in the moment you choose to train with purpose. After the age of 35, your muscle mass begins to decline rapidly if you do nothing to preserve it. And muscle is not just for athletes or people who want a certain look. It is the engine that drives your metabolism. It is the armor that protects your bones. It is the stability that supports your joints. It is the reserve that keeps your energy steady throughout the day. When you lose muscle, everything else becomes harder. When you build it, everything else becomes possible. So what does training with intention look like? It means lifting heavier with fewer repetitions instead of lighter with more. It means choosing compound movements that activate multiple muscle groups at once instead of isolating one small area. It means prioritizing quality over quantity, form over fatigue, consistency over chaos. It means giving your body enough time to recover between sets. It means walking away from a session feeling alive, not destroyed. And it means trusting that strength is not something you rush, it is something you build. You do not need to spend hours in the gym. You do not need to destroy your body to prove your worth. You need 20 to 30 minutes of focused strength training 2 to 3 times per week. You need proper fuel before you start and quality protein after you finish. You need to sleep like it matters, because it does. And you need to let go of the belief that more is always better. More only works when it is aligned with your biology. More only works when it is sustainable. If your workout leaves you feeling depleted for the rest of the day, it is not working for you. If your training makes you fear food or resent your body, it is not the right path. If you are constantly in pain, exhausted, or anxious about missing a day, then what you are doing is not health, it is harm. The point of training is not just to shape your body, it is to support your life, to give you more energy, not less, to build your capacity to show up in every other area that matters. And when women start training this way, something shifts. They stop seeing the gym as a punishment and start seeing it as preparation. They stop obsessing over burning calories and start focusing on building strength. They stop hiding in baggy clothes and start standing taller, not because their bodies changed overnight, but because their relationship with their bodies did. And that shift changes everything. This is not about becoming someone new. It is about returning to who you were before you were told that small equals beautiful and tired equals committed. It is about reclaiming the connection between effort and energy, between structure and softness, between discipline and compassion. You are not here to disappear. You are here to stand strong. And the world needs that version of you more than ever. So the next time you step into a workout, ask yourself, not how hard can I push, but how well can I train? Not how fast can I go, but how clearly can I move? Not how much can I lose, but how much can I build? You are not doing this to fix yourself. You are doing this to find yourself again. Strong, focused, present, unapologetic. That is the body reset. Not a challenge to survive, but a rhythm to sustain. Not a temporary fix, but a permanent return. You do not need to start over. You only need to start listening. You cannot train your way out of poor nutrition. No matter how perfect your workout routine is, your body cannot build strength without the raw materials to support it. Protein, minerals, fats, fiber, hydration. Without these, you are just pushing a system that has nothing left to give. And that is where many women get stuck. They are training hard, showing up every week, trying to stay consistent, but they are not seeing results, not because they are doing too little, but because they are feeding themselves too little. The idea that food is something to be feared or controlled has been planted so deeply into women's minds that for many, eating has become a moral decision. You are good if you eat clean. You are bad if you eat late. You are disciplined if you skip dessert. You are weak if you give in to hunger. This mindset is not just damaging, it is dangerous. Because when food becomes the enemy, the body becomes the battlefield, and no one wins that war. Food is not a threat. Food is information. Every bite you take sends a message. It tells your metabolism what to do. It tells your hormones how to behave. It tells your brain what to focus on. And when you chronically undereat or skip meals or live on caffeine and sugar, your body receives one clear message: there is not enough. And so it starts to slow down. It reduces your metabolism. It raises your stress hormones. It preserves fat. It drains your energy. And even though you may be eating less, you feel worse, not because your body is fighting you, but because it is protecting you. And it is time to stop treating your body like it is the problem. The reset begins when you start seeing food as fuel, not just something to control, but something to partner with. You need protein first thing in the morning, not a rice cake or a shot of espresso. You need real nourishment, eggs, oats, Greek yogurt, plant protein, something that tells your body the day has started and it is safe to build. You need to eat after training, not skip the meal to burn more fat. Because without fuel, your muscles cannot grow and your recovery never happens. You need enough calories to support your lifestyle. If you are chasing a number on the scale instead of tracking how you feel, you are missing the real goal. Longevity, clarity, strength, mood. These are the markers of progress that actually matter. Many women avoid protein because they were taught to fear bulk, but muscle is not bulk. Muscle is your metabolic engine. It is your stability. It is your shape. And protein is the most powerful nutrient you can give your body as it ages. It preserves lean mass. It balances blood sugar. It supports hormone function. It increases satiety and reduces cravings. But you cannot benefit from protein if you are only getting it once a day at dinner. You need it spaced throughout the day. You need it with breakfast. You need it with snacks. You need to stop thinking of protein as optional and start treating it as essential. You also need fats, not the kind you find in processed snacks or low-quality oils, but the kind that comes from avocado, olive oil, nuts, seeds, cold water, fish. Fats support your brain. They regulate your cycle. They are the building blocks of every cell membrane in your body. Removing them from your diet to cut calories is like removing the foundation from your house to make it lighter. Eventually, the whole thing collapses. You need carbohydrates too, not to be feared, but to be timed with your activity. Carbs are not evil. They are your main energy source. The key is choosing the right kind and the right amount for your body. Fiber-rich vegetables, whole grains, fruit. These are not your enemy. They are the tools your body uses to think, move, and repair. When you start eating for performance instead of punishment, everything begins to shift. Your body responds differently. You sleep deeper. You think clearer. You stop obsessing over every bite because your body is no longer screaming for more. You begin to feel steady. You begin to feel strong. And that strength does not come from a magic food or a perfect diet plan. It comes from giving your body what it needs consistently and without guilt. The reason most diets fail is not because women lack discipline. It is because those diets were never built to support the female body long term. They are built on restriction, on rules, on fear. But your body does not thrive in fear. It thrives in rhythm, in nourishment, in trust. And trust is built when you stop depriving yourself and start listening to what your body is actually asking for. You are allowed to eat. You are allowed to enjoy food. You are allowed to fuel your body without apology. Eating is not a reward for working out. It is a requirement for being alive. And when you finally start eating like you respect your body instead of trying to shrink it, you begin to unlock the kind of health that lasts. Not a quick fix, not a temporary high, but sustainable, steady, grounded health that supports you through every phase of life. There is a kind of strength that cannot be seen in the mirror. It does not show up in numbers or in the reflection of your body. It shows up in the way you respond to pressure, in the way you handle setbacks, in the way you carry yourself in moments that try to shake you. That strength begins inside. And the way you treat your body determines whether that strength has room to grow or whether it gets buried under exhaustion and stress. When your body is nourished and supported, it gives your mind space to be steady. You think clearer, you make better decisions, you stop reacting to everything around you and begin responding from a place of clarity. But when your body is drained and underfed and constantly in survival mode, it becomes nearly impossible to stay grounded. Small things feel big, emotions run high, confidence runs low. You begin to question yourself, not because you lack intelligence or drive, but because your system is too depleted to regulate. This is what most people do not see. That so much of our emotional overwhelm is not weakness. It is a signal that the body is not getting what it needs, that sleep is being skipped, that meals are being delayed, that stress is being tolerated without release. And over time, all of this turns into a fog, a heaviness, a kind of quiet chaos that makes it harder to show up as who you really are. That is why strength is not just about lifting weights or eating better. It is about building a foundation that can support your entire life. You cannot lead when you are exhausted. You cannot love fully when you are constantly anxious. You cannot create freely when your system is shut down. And the truth is, no one can do this work for you. You can hire a coach, you can buy a program, but at the end of the day, only you can decide that your well-being matters enough to protect. Only you can create the rhythm that your body needs to feel safe again. Only you can choose to break the cycle of burnout and begin the cycle of restoration. And once you do, everything starts to change. You begin to walk into rooms differently, not because you are louder or bolder, but because your energy is no longer scattered. You begin to speak with more clarity because your mind is no longer fighting fog. You begin to make decisions with confidence because your system is no longer overwhelmed. This is the kind of presence that cannot be faked. It comes from being whole, from living in alignment with your biology, from honoring your limits instead of overriding them. Many women are taught to keep going no matter how they feel, to show up for everyone else even when their own tank is empty, to keep smiling through the chaos. But that is not strength, that is survival. And survival is not the goal, thriving is. Thriving looks like knowing when to rest, when to say no, when to choose food that nourishes you instead of punishes you, when to step back and breathe before you respond, when to train because it energizes you, not because it earns you the right to eat. Thriving means no longer measuring your worth by your productivity or your weight or your appearance. It means knowing that your power is not in your ability to endure pain, but in your ability to create peace. It means building routines that support your nervous system. Routines that include sunlight in the morning, movement that feels strong, meals that are regular and complete, sleep that is protected, relationships that are honest, boundaries that are clear. And none of this has to be perfect. In fact, perfection will only delay your progress. You do not need to follow everything exactly. You do not need to overhaul your life in 1 week. You only need to start building awareness, paying attention, noticing how you feel after you eat, noticing how your body responds to training, noticing when your stress is rising and how you can bring it back down. That is the work. It is not glamorous, it is not dramatic, but it is real. And it works. The more consistently you show up for your body, the more your body shows up for you. It supports your focus. It fuels your vision. It holds space for your emotions without breaking. And when that happens, you begin to trust yourself in a way that no external validation can replace. You begin to rely on your own instincts. You stop chasing approval and start building alignment. And that alignment is what creates true confidence. Not the kind that comes from appearance or status, but the kind that stays with you even in the hard days. This is how you become unshakable, not by avoiding difficulty, but by training your body and your mind to recover from it, not by being the strongest in the room, but by being the most regulated, not by pushing harder, but by choosing better. You are allowed to feel good in your body. You are allowed to feel calm in your life. You are allowed to stop chasing chaos and start building something sustainable. Something grounded, something true. You do not have to keep running on empty. You do not have to prove your worth through exhaustion. You do not have to earn rest. You are allowed to build a life that feels strong from the inside out. And that begins when you stop asking what you can take away and start asking what you actually need. You are not the same every day, and you were never meant to be. Your body moves through a rhythm that is both powerful and deeply intelligent. A rhythm that prepares, releases, rebuilds, and restores. But most systems never taught you to listen to it. Most training programs, diets, routines, and even daily expectations are designed for a body that resets every 24 hours. That is not your rhythm. That is not your biology. And when you try to live against your natural flow, you feel it. You feel it in the way your energy crashes without warning. You feel it in the way your motivation disappears, even when your goals remain clear. You feel it in the way your cravings spike, your sleep changes, your focus fades, and too often you blame yourself. You call it inconsistency. You call it lack of discipline. You think you are falling short, but what is really happening is that your body is moving through its cycle, a full hormonal cycle that spans around 28 days. A cycle that affects your metabolism, your strength, your emotions, your endurance, your inflammation, your appetite, and your nervous system. And when you begin to understand that cycle, when you begin to honor it instead of fighting it, everything begins to shift. In the first phase, your body is in preparation. Estrogen begins to rise. Energy starts to return. This is when your brain becomes clearer and your body more responsive. It is a powerful time to build, to set goals, to lift heavier, to push slightly more. Your metabolism is steady. Your recovery is strong. Your confidence grows from within. But even this window is not a time to force. It is a time to lean in with awareness. As you move into the next phase, estrogen continues to rise and testosterone joins the rhythm. You may feel the most powerful in your cycle during these days. Strength increases, coordination improves. Your body feels light and capable. This is an ideal time for challenging lifts, for intense but brief training sessions, for big decisions and bold ideas. You feel open, expressive, creative. But this is also where many women push too hard. They get addicted to this peak. They forget it is only one part of the rhythm. And when the next phase arrives, they resist it. After ovulation, everything shifts. Hormones begin to change again. Progesterone rises. Estrogen begins to decline. Your energy softens. Your nervous system becomes more sensitive. Your recovery slows. This is not weakness. This is your body turning inward. It is preparing you to rest, to reflect, to build resilience instead of power. Your workouts here should change. Focus on form. Lower the intensity. Respect the need for stability. Support your body with more protein, more minerals, more sleep. Do not fight this phase. Use it to repair and reset. And then comes the final phase, the days before your period. For many women, this is the hardest time. Cravings increase. Sleep may be disrupted. Emotions rise. Focus may drop. But none of this means your body is out of control. It means your body is calling for compassion. This is the most important time to listen, to stop measuring your worth by how productive you are, to stop forcing performance when your body is asking for care. Gentle movement, deep breathing, warm meals, quiet strength. This is the invitation to build trust, to let your body know it is safe even when it slows down. When you begin to live in alignment with this cycle, your life starts to feel less like a battle. You stop expecting yourself to be the same every day. You stop judging the days you need rest. You stop chasing energy and start managing it. And you begin to make peace with yourself. Because now you know the truth. You are not inconsistent. You are cyclical. And that rhythm is not a flaw. It is your superpower. Everything changes when you learn to train with your cycle. You stop burning out. You gain more from less. You progress faster because you recover better. You feel more connected to your body because you are no longer silencing it. You are speaking its language. And the language is rhythm. It is not about being perfect. It is about being present. Knowing which days to rise and which days to release, which days to lift and which days to breathe, which days to create and which days to reflect. Nutrition also shifts with your cycle. In the follicular phase, you may need lighter meals, more greens, more fiber. In ovulation, you may crave raw foods, cooling foods, hydration. In the luteal phase, your body asks for warmth, for grounding nutrients, for steady fuel. In menstruation, your iron stores need replenishment. Your digestion slows. Your body craves rest. Honoring these shifts is not indulgence. It is intelligence. It is precision. And it teaches your body that it can trust you. This trust is the foundation of healing. When your body trusts you, it stops holding on to fat as protection. It stops sending alarm signals. It begins to open up. Your skin clears. Your digestion improves. Your sleep deepens. Your energy stabilizes. Your mood softens. And perhaps most importantly, your mind quiets. Because for the first time in a long time, you are no longer at war with your body. You are in partnership with it. You were never meant to operate on a flat line. You were built to ebb and flow, to rise and fall, to expand and contract, just like nature, just like the moon, just like every living system on earth. When you begin to live this way, you no longer feel behind, you no longer feel broken, you begin to feel human again. And in that space, real power is born, the kind of power that is grounded, the kind that lasts, the kind that does not burn you out but builds you up. This is the next layer of your reset, not just understanding your body, but moving with it, respecting its rhythm, building your strength in alignment with its flow. You are not meant to override yourself to succeed. You are meant to understand yourself to thrive. She used to wake up already tired. The alarm would go off, and instead of energy, she felt resistance. Another day of trying to do everything right. Another day of measuring every bite. Another day of forcing herself into a workout she did not enjoy, hoping it would finally be the day her body decided to cooperate. She counted calories. She tracked steps. She drank the water. She took the supplements, but still the scale did not move. Her clothes did not fit better. Her energy stayed low. And deep down, she started to believe something was wrong with her. She was doing everything they told her to do, but none of it was working. She began blaming herself. Maybe she was too old. Maybe her metabolism was broken. Maybe this was just how things would be now. Sluggish, bloated, exhausted. She smiled on the outside. She functioned at work. She took care of her family, but inside she felt disconnected from her body, from her joy, from herself, until one day she stopped. Not because she had a breakthrough, not because someone gave her the answer, but because she had nothing left to give. Her body had been whispering for years. Now it was screaming. Fatigue became dizziness. Headaches became daily. Her cycle disappeared. Her digestion was wrecked. Her mind was in a fog. And for the first time, she realized this was not a sign she needed to try harder. It was a sign she needed to try differently. She let go of the app that counted her food. She stopped punishing herself with cardio. She began to walk without guilt. She started her days with real breakfast, not black coffee and silence. She lifted weights again, not to shrink, but to rebuild. She replaced the question, how do I burn this off, with the question, what does my body need right now? At first it was hard. The old patterns ran deep. The fear of gaining weight, the fear of slowing down, the voice that said you will lose control if you stop controlling everything. But she stayed with it. 1 week at a time, one meal at a time, one breath at a time. Her cycle returned, her sleep improved, her mood softened, her skin cleared. She had energy in the afternoon again. The fog lifted. But more than anything, she began to feel safe in her own body for the first time in years. And that changed everything. She started to laugh again. She said no without guilt. She walked into rooms without needing to prove anything. Her strength was no longer about the weight she could lift. It was about the presence she could hold. She stopped chasing the woman she used to be and started becoming the woman she was always meant to be. And not because she found some perfect program, but because she came home to herself. She listened. She honored the signals. She trusted the slow path. And the more she listened, the more her body responded with energy, with clarity, with grace. This is not just her story. This is the story of so many women. Women who have spent years in the loop of doing more and feeling less. Women who have confused restriction with discipline. Women who have forgotten how to trust themselves. But when one woman breaks that cycle, she creates a path for others to follow. And it starts with something simple, a decision to stop the war, to listen in, to choose nourishment over punishment, strength over struggle, presence over pressure. You do not need to hit rock bottom to begin. You do not need to wait for a crisis. You only need to pay attention to the fatigue you have normalized, to the cravings you keep fighting, to the sleep you keep skipping, to the cycle you keep silencing. These are not annoyances, these are invitations. Your body is always speaking, and you are allowed to respond with care. There is a version of you that feels clear, that feels strong, that moves through her day without dragging her feet or fighting her body, that eats without guilt, that trains with purpose, that lives in alignment. You are not far from her. She is already within you. She has just been buried under noise, and today you get to start uncovering her. Not with the dramatic overhaul, not with another rigid plan, but with a new rhythm, one that honors your biology, one that works with your life, one that feels sustainable. Because real transformation is not found in extremes. It is built in the small decisions you make every day, to choose rest, to choose movement, to choose food that fuels, to choose yourself. Again and again, start small. Start where you are. Start with one habit, one change, one commitment to treat your body like it matters, because it does. The path is not complicated, but it does require you to begin. Not someday, not when it feels easier, not when the timing is perfect, but now, quietly, gently, boldly. Your body is not broken, it is waiting, and the moment you choose to listen, it will meet you there. There will always be another trend, another quick fix, another voice telling you to do more, push harder, eat less, be smaller. But there comes a moment when you realize the answer was never out there. It was always within you. The fatigue you have felt, the frustration you carry, the quiet voice that kept asking if this was really the only way, all of it was wisdom, not weakness. Your body was never the problem. The world simply forgot to teach you how to listen to it. What you have walked through in these past 7 parts is not a set of instructions. It is a return, a remembering that strength begins in safety, that health is built on rhythm, that clarity is not found in pushing yourself to the edge, but in restoring the trust between you and your body. You have learned that real nourishment is not punishment, that your cycle is not a disruption but a guide, that movement is not for shrinking, it is for showing up, that rest is not earned, it is essential. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to be present, to be alive in your body, to build the kind of strength that does not burn out, that holds steady, that expands beyond physical form and into how you think, how you speak, how you lead, how you live. This is what true reset means. Not starting over from shame, but beginning again from awareness. So now the question is not, what more do you need to do? It is, who do you need to become when you stop doubting what your body already knows? Because she knows when to rise, when to slow down, when to push, when to pause. And when you begin to live in tune with her, the rest begins to align. Your energy, your sleep, your strength, your peace. Do not wait for the perfect moment. Start with what you have, with the next meal, the next walk, the next breath, the next boundary you protect. Because the reset is not a one-time event. It is a daily choice, a quiet reclaiming, a return to the body that has carried you through it all and is still here, still listening, still ready to heal with you. You do not need to be fixed. You only need to be heard. And now you can begin again, but this time in your own rhythm.